Hey, what up, guys? It's Rob Monty here, bringing you guys some new wrestling news content today. Alright, so today is July 14th. Let's see what's going on in the wrestling world, guys. I mean, there's just so much to look at. Alright, so, yeah, we're already on our main EWN site just to check out what they got out here today. First and foremost, we're going to be talking about Karrion Kross, as he has revealed who he would like to face at WrestleMania, and who does he think has the best entrance of all time. And as it says right here, Karrion went on to say, I think The Undertaker probably has the best entrance of all time. I said it before as well. I feel like Taker always had his own gravity. I feel also one of the reasons why it was the best entrance of all time is because it's not necessarily for his time period, just general pro wrestling entrance. It wasn't like his music hit and the guy walks down to the ring. It was something, that transaction where we were at the time watching as viewers. It was completely different. I think his entrance even appealed to the mainstream entertainment. You know what? He's not wrong. And the thing is, when I look at all the different entrances, just all the different entrances in wrestling in general, I think the one that's the most mesmerizing is Taker's. Just because when you go to a WrestleMania, no matter which entrance of Taker that he had something that's great. I mean, always. I mean, my favorite one, I think, that stands out from my childhood would be the WrestleMania 14 one with Kane, where it was this monumentous occasion where Taker would return to face Kane, and my God, it was such a beautiful entrance. I mean, you actually believed he came from hell to fight Kane that night. My other one would say, I love the one that he made when the night after the Royal Rumble, where he defeated Shawn Michaels to become number one contender for Batista's belt. And that was 2007. And like when none of the other participants were expecting, like all the other champions weren't expecting who would be facing Taker. Taker just has a lightning bolt strike and boom, he comes out from the flames of hell. And to me, that was just one of the most epic entrances of all, I believe. I mean, it even fits well for, Saliva's song at that time, Ladies and Gentlemen. That song, that freaking entrance was awesome. And then let's never forget about the Taker and Shawn entrance. Or even better yet, the Taker entrance, I think, for WrestleMania, I believe it was either 28 or 29, where they showed all the different caskets of all the different victims that Taker had faced over the years. I mean, Taker's had some of the best entrances, just period. And it fits his character very well. And the thing is, I agree with Karrion Kross. I mean, the way he says it, I mean, you forget, when you watch Taker's entrance, it makes you forget that you're watching a wrestling event. It actually gets you to want to watch it, especially at WrestleMania. I think a lot of the fans at the WrestleMania shows, they tend to, I've seen it numerous occasions, where they would take their cell phones and just record it for themselves because they got to see it, And for me, who's never been to a WrestleMania, I wish I could. I just haven't been able to afford it. Fucking the price of living in Hawaii is fucking unreal. To be honest, one day I will. And the one thing I probably would have loved to have seen was The Undertaker's entrance. Just his entrance alone. Forget about the match. The Undertaker's entrance is like, what do you call, the Green Flash here in Hawaii. I mean, you just have to see it in order to say you experienced it and seen it, It's just something that's beautiful. Even on the network or even on the pay-per-view screen, it's just epic. Something you have to see. It's like a monument in a way, Alright, and then Karrion Kross explains who would his dream wrestling matches would be. And I gotta say, these were interesting choices, but I can actually see Karrion Kross going up against either one of these guys. And the first one he goes on to say is, I would definitely say Brock Lesnar. I respectfully don't know, in my opinion, he would be the measuring stick so much as maybe The Rock would be a measuring stick. And I say because in terms of generating attention and interest, I think maybe he's the highest paid actor in Hollywood. I think I read that somewhere. He came from here. If someone wants to emulate the most success you can find in the business, I'd say The Rock is definitely the guy. Selfishly, Brock Lesnar and The Rock would be my perfect ideal WrestleMania matches. I gotta say, I would be definitely interested to see a Karrion Kross match against The Rock. I wouldn't mind seeing him against Brock Lesnar. I think the match with Brock would be freaking very interesting and intriguing. Just because Karrion Kross, or Killer Kross as we know him, has been a freaking dominating force himself, and I think that would be the dream match. I think that would be the money match right there. As far as the match with The Rock, I think it's a long shot, but if it were to happen, I would definitely watch. And when I look at Karrion Kross, I think the guy is going to be a big star, guys, main event star level. So I think him and The Rock would have a great match, honestly. But it hasn't happened and hasn't been talked about just yet. Well, it's because the guy hasn't become a major star yet, but I'm going to say this much. Him versus Brock Lesnar is going to be something that's going to be a guaranteed must-see. And then I think a match with The Rock would be a great match to have. It's just, right now I see it as a long shot, considering how Rock decides who he's going to wrestle or who he's going to face or what his Hollywood schedule is like. I mean, it's ridiculous what Rock's Hollywood schedule is like. I mean, he's working on Ballers for one, and then he's got this movie or that movie. And then he's also even considering running for president of the United States. And a lot of people ask me, who would you prefer, him or Kanye West? I would say The Rock, because I think The Rock would have been, A, more respectful. 2, I think Rock would make the tough decisions if he had to. I believe he could. And honestly, I just think he's not as undereducated as Kanye can be. I mean, Kanye is he's an educated person, a genius. I love the fact that he has a mind of his own, but Kanye has been on the crazy side in some people's eyes. That's just my honest opinion. Alright, so moving on from Karrion Kross, we're going on to AEW news, as we are going to report what's happening tomorrow night for the Fight for the Fallen episode of Dynamite. And I'm going to say, dun dun dun, Chris Jericho, Le Champion, has something to say tomorrow night. I'm going to say this much. If Chris Jericho has something to say, somebody's in trouble. And I believe its name is Matt Hardy. Or possibly Orange Cassidy. I don't know. But I say this. Chris Jericho will be on tomorrow night, and he's going to be cutting promos. And I can only imagine he's going to have some funny shit to say. So, alright. That's a new announcement. And then here's what the card for Fight for the Fallen stands as of right now. First and foremost, the Nightmare Sisters, Brandy Rhodes, and Allie will be in action. FTR will face the Lucha Brothers, which I think will be a class act show stealer in some way. I just hope it's not too much spots. You know, I mean, it's kind of getting redundant with all the dives and shit in AEW. But hopefully this match with AEW will be something that's good, you know? And then we also got Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, the Elite, versus Marco Stunt, Jungle Boy, and Luchasaurus, the Jurassic Express. So, my honest opinion of this should be interesting. I wonder what Adam Page is going to be doing in this particular match. But, quite honestly, I think the Elite's going to win this match, obviously. Though, Luchasaurus is an ass kicker. And Jungle Boy is great. But the reason why I see them losing is because Marco Stunt is nowhere in this league of the Young Bucks or Kenny Omega, and that's just being fair. I'm sorry, guys. Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, all in the in the feet right, you know. But I think Marco Stunt's just gonna get his ass kicked worse than Mikey Whipwreck did. All right, then we have the AEW TNT title as Cody Rhodes will take on Sonny Kiss. By the way, guys, don't forget to watch the FTW title match tonight, which is going to be between Brian Cage and Brian Pillman Jr. That's going to be a cool-ass match to watch. I'm going to try to check it out on AEW Dark on YouTube. And then our main event for tomorrow night, guys, will be for the AEW and FTW titles. Jon Moxley goes on head-to-head with Brian Cage. Title for title. I'm guessing they're trying to capitalize after what happened with Keith Lee and Adam Cole. I think that's counter-programming right there. So for those of you guys who are always saying WWE is counter-programming AEW, I think this is exactly what they're doing to counter-program WWE. But I'm going to say this. I'm going to watch this match, and if it has outrageousness going on, and outdoing what WWE did, like how they tried to do that with the damn hardcore match with Moxley and Omega, I might not enjoy this match. I'm just saying, I don't think this is going to be that kind of a match. I don't think it's going to be as good as Keith Lee and Adam Cole. If it does, well, good on Mox and good on Cage, you know, but I'm going to say this. It's just, I don't think they're going to be able to top what WWE did last week with Adam Cole and Keith Lee. I just don't think so. But I do see this as counter-programming in general. So, we'll see how it goes, guys. Alright, that's Fight for the Fallen. Now, we're also going to some WWE news, where WWE is apparently teasing a match between Kairi Sane and Asuka. My honest opinion, I wouldn't mind. But this is what it's been said. During last night's edition of Raw Talk, you had the Kabuki Warriors on there. And where Samoa Joe asked Kairi Sane about possibly facing Asuka for the women's title after Extreme Rules. Sane said, "If you want that match, I'm ready for Asuka." Asuka then hugged Sane and said she'd be interested in the match. Despite defeat, they're all smiles, basically. And quite honestly, I would love to see this match, guys. I mean, I think Kairi Sane could definitely complement Asuka in a championship match. Who do I think is going to probably win? Probably Asuka, but if they give Kairi the title, I wouldn't mind, because I think Kairi is good enough to have that belt in general. So I would love to see this match, guys. I would. I'm a big fan of both these guys. I'm a big fan of all four women last night. I mean, Bayley and Sasha, I think they're great as a heel team. I'm still waiting to see how that translates when the fans return, because I don't know, because there's a lot of people who I know who are kind of upset that Sasha hasn't turned on Bayley just yet and go baby for that women's title. But, you know, I can understand WWE's just playing it up as much as they can so they can make that thing bigger, I guess. As far as Asuka and Kairi go, I think this would be a great match. I mean, I've been a huge fan of Asuka ever since she debuted in WWE NXT. I've been a fan of her since her Joshi days. I've learned a lot about Kairi Sane, and I'm a huge fan right there. And from what we've been hearing, I mean, she's thinking about finishing up her time in WWE and then going on one more year to basically to retire a year later. So, you know, so I wouldn't mind seeing Kairi getting an opportunity with Asuka and just having them just tear the house down. I think that would be great. So, yeah, I'm a fan of all four ladies, guys, and they're all great. They're all great. Let's just be real. Next, this is what I would call a big topic news, because Taz has spoken. The human suplexing machine went to Twitter, and guess what he had to say? Basically, this is what happened. A fan by the name of I don't know what the fuck. I guess he's a gamer alien or alien. I guess alien lives matter. At Fernacio said this. The problem with the FTW belt is that people will associate more with Taz instead of Cage. The $1 Million Belt dual angles with Ringmaster and DiBiase Jr. Do something original so that Cage can create his own legacy. If the FTW belt showed up on WWE, heads would roll on social media. As much as I would like to agree with Fernacio, quite honestly, AEW is just trying to make it's new. It's not so much that they're trying to copy WWE, but they're trying to do something that WWE did before, just to help Brian Cage. You know, as you guys don't know, Brian Cage is kind of bland when he's on the mic. That's why they gave him Taz to begin with, to be a mouthpiece. So I can understand them doing this because they're just trying to help Brian Cage get over. And if they figure if Taz can get him over, then by God, they got the machine, Brian Cage. You know. Do I agree that heads would roll on social media if it showed up in WWE? I'm pretty sure it would, and I think it did on shopwwe.com at one time. But Taz owns the belt, and Taz feels like Brian Cage is his mentor. It's a little bit different from the Ringmaster and Ted DiBiase, mainly because Ted was just a mouthpiece. And the Ringmaster gimmick was just something for Austin to be a utility talent. But then, look at it this way. Did that $1 Million Belt ever make Stone Cold Steve Austin? No. Stone Cold made Stone Cold. That's a different story in general. With Brian Cage, I think the FTW has to make him the champion. So in respects to Taz and AEW there, I see what they're trying to do. I kind of agree, though. FTW belt don't need to be on Brian Cage to get Brian Cage over, because how good Brian Cage actually is. However, I think it just gives him character in general. That's why I would stand by with Taz and AEW on this whole thing. But I'm going to tell you this. This is what Taz had to go by on Twitter. And he says, problem with wrestling social media is people like you, disrespectful, know-it-all, but you ain't doing Taz, it's doing. He says, but you ain't doing shit in the industry. But yet you chirp on here in person to anyone from AEW. But in person to anyone from AEW, WWE, Ring of Honor, TNA, MLW, you wouldn't say nothing in person. In the writer's room, you would shit your pants. And you know what? I agree with Taz on that, because a lot of these guys who have great ideas for wrestling shows, who do talk on social media most of the time, and actually think they're smarter than every wrestling fan, it's really annoying. It's very disrespectful. It's very rude. And if they were to give their ideas to WWE or AEW or Ring of Honor or TNA or MLW in person, they wouldn't be able to do they wouldn't be doing shit, and they wouldn't be able to do shit because some of them would be peeing themselves like little wet girls in some cases. Me personally, if I were to do that in person, I would be trying to get a job with the company in general, because I would love to be in the writer's room and, you know what, pitch ideas. Help guys get over, you know? I would love to do that kind of shit for any show. You know, I don't care if it's WWE, AEW, Ring of Honor, TNA. I would love to do that. I mean, I just would love to do it just to get my foot in the business and trying to help the business. And I can understand what Taz is saying here, guys. It's just because there's a lot of people who do chirp on social media all the time. And they talk about how bad the show is, but they ain't actually doing anything to help the show at all. So, I totally get where Taz is coming from, and I stand by him on that. And quite honestly, Fernasio is in the wrong here, because what Taz is calling him out for is like he ain't doing shit to help out with the writers. He ain't doing shit to help the wrestling business. All he's doing is just basically opening his mouth, talking shit about how bad the FTW belt idea is for Brian Cage. And then he starts saying, it's already been all done. Why can't we be original? Well, here's the reason why we can't be original, Fernasio, if that's what you're asking for. Everything in wrestling has been done. I mean, you go to the NWA, you go AWA, you go WCCW. A lot of the ideas that's been done and that's basically out there has been done before. And it's still being done today in a different spin, in a different light, in a different coat. You cannot just expect somebody to just give you something brand spanking new, because if you were giving them brand spanking new all the time, you'd be running out of a lot of ideas, and then you would have to go struggle with more of the old ideas. And the fact is, old is new and original if you do it right with the right character in general. And to me, the whole thing with this storyline, you can go so many ways with this different storyline, because it's the FTW Championship. It's not the $1 Million Championship. The $1 Million Championship, if it was in this whole scenario, and Taz wasn't Taz, he was Ted DiBiase, and he was helping Brian Cage, it would make Brian Cage seem like an entitled prick, because now he's carrying something that he could probably sell off of eBay for about $2, $3, $4, $5, maybe even $600,000, because of how much that title is actually worth. The replicas might just be worth only $400, but I believe the $1 Million title, the real, the authentic one, is probably worth more than that in general. So, and quite honestly, the FTW belt, it's if you ask me, it's basically a different concept than the $1 Million title in general. So you can actually go different ways. And Taz has been the kind of guy who's been known to be a ruthless individual when he's in that wrestling ring. He'll suplex you from one side of the ring to the other side of the ring, through the ring, through the stage, through the ramp. Hell, he'll even throw you into the fans if he could. Basically, what I'm saying is Taz is a ruthless individual. And maybe with Brian Cage, for instance, and this is me pitching the idea, and I'm pretty sure Taz has already pitched that idea, is that they make Brian Cage so ruthless that that FTW Championship will represent being ruthless, just like it did with Taz all those years ago. And I'm gonna make note of this. The FTW Championship is actually a Taz title. It's not an AEW title. It is a title that belongs to Taz. So he gives it to anybody that crowns him the FTW champion. I mean, that's by Taz's discretion, you know. And I can understand them trying to go up against Brian Pillman Jr. tonight. It gives Brian Pillman the chance to shine with one of the top stars. And then on top of that, with Jon Moxley, you know, if what's to say if Brian Cage lost it, the person I would lose it to would be Moxley in general, because that's the guy who I've been pushing for almost a whole year and a half of being ruthless, being hardcore, you know. And if not, I mean, keep it on Brian Cage. I mean, you can make him the most ruthless champion of all time. I mean, right there. I mean, it's a different story in general. It's something that was done a long time ago, but it's brought back and they're doing it in a new way. They're going and being original about it. So to defend Taz, right there. And Fernasio, I do agree with you. You make a clear, valid point, but it's not that strong a point, and I agree with Taz, is because you're not helping, because you're not pitching an idea. You're not telling them a way they can get Brian Cage over other than what they're doing right now. So you should keep your mouth shut. You're being disrespectful at this point. And then Taz goes on and say this, so just to let every wrestling fan knows, he doesn't feel that way of every wrestling fan. He says, I love wrestling fans, and I feel every fan is entitled to an opinion. And many times you guys have great ideas, but when you come at people disrespectfully and bash stuff, you really could come off like a jerk. And he's totally right, guys. I mean, I've said it. I've seen it myself, even on fucking all the different discussion sites on wrestling. There's some fans who come at people very disrespectfully, just trying to prove to them how stupid they are. And reality is they're being vicious, mean, and stupid themselves. So that's why Taz even ends it by saying, you could come off looking like a jerk instead of a, well, you're an uncle fucker. I could have said that. Just saying. But Taz, I commend Taz for saying that, because he actually made a real statement and he made a good comeback to that guy, and that's the fact. You guys can say whatever you want to say about Taz, but I agree with Taz, because this guy has actually been to the top of the world in ECW. He's even wrestled Triple H as the first ever ECW champion to meet a WWE champion. That was a great match, guys. Oh man. And then Taz also goes into promoting tonight's AEW Dark match. As I said, it will be Brian Cage versus Brian Pillman Jr. FTW title match, my friends, and I think it's gonna be great. Simple deal, and it's gonna be a great match. I think this is gonna be a great way to help launch Brian Pillman Jr. All right, next on the news, Tony Khan interview took place on it doesn't say where. Okay, but AEW, he was asked about Sammy Guevara and his rape comments towards Sasha Banks. And he goes on, Tony says, with Sammy, I think the right thing to do was to suspend him. The comments he made were horrible. I can't defend him. I can't even comment on them because they're unspeakably bad. He has done a different kind of counseling, and he's in a different kind of counseling. And it's a different kind of coaching. Everybody here, male and female, pretty much up and down the roster, we felt like Sammy had no history of this kind of behavior. Really, people were shocked Sammy had said that. Certainly, it's an old clip. I think the video was 4 years old. I had never seen that video, and it's something I would have addressed with him before Sammy started here. I never had an opportunity to address it because I didn't know it existed. Neither did anybody else, or if it did, nobody told us. Which, guys, from what I understand, and I've actually seen the clip myself, this was an old clip back when Sammy was in an indie promotion somewhere in Mexico or even in the Indies. And quite honestly, what he said, that was very offensive. I don't blame Sasha Banks for getting upset. Mm-hmm. And I agree with Tony. I mean, it was the right thing to do was suspend him. Hopefully they're working with him to fix the situation. That's all I'm saying. And I think from what it sounds like, Tony Khan isn't that sensitive to get rid of him just because he said these comments. He's actually trying to work with the guy and make him a better person. So that's a good thing. That's a good note. And I commend Tony Khan for doing what he's doing. And Tony Khan also wanted to talk about Pac's status. And he says, I really miss Pac a lot. Right now, the border is not a great situation. As I understand it, if he were to go back to England, if he were to come here and he was able to get in, do a quarantine after travel, then he would also, when he tried to go home, he would be in a 2-week quarantine before he could do anything. So it just doesn't seem like a sustainable situation right now. Pac lives in England, so until travel is sustainable and he could do what he used to do, which is come here and stay and do a few shows and then go back to England and really commute across the Atlantic, it's very challenging right now. Until it becomes safe to travel back and forth to make those trips internationally, until the border is really ready, I don't think we can rush him back, even though we love to have him. And which is a fair statement in general, and I kind of agree with Tony. I mean, it would make more sense if Pac were to just stay in the United States for this. But he understands Pac lives in England, Pac's wife is in England, so it doesn't seem right to just keep forcing him. And you know what? It actually helps Pac in the long run in some sorts of the matter. If Pac is still staying in ring shape and working his ass off at home right now, I can honestly say, I mean, he could actually come in and become a bigger star than he was when he first entered. So that's a hot needle to watch. At the same time, it's also bad because he's going to be out of sight, out of mind for a while. Fans could forget him. I mean, Booker T has said this on numerous times about the various talents who have took time off. All right, next, Tony Khan goes on to talk about the potential for a Mike Tyson versus Jericho match. And he goes on and says, I like Mike a lot. Mike did a great job at Double or Nothing. And I think there was a great amount of publicity, and the show did very well. I have to attribute something to Mike's presence there. I really think the world of Mike, and I'd love to have Mike back if we could ever work it out. There's a lot of great matches out there in the future, but if we could ever put Mike and Jericho again together and do Tyson versus Jericho, it would be great. I think if you have Jericho and Tyson in a fucking promo, it would be great. I don't know how Tyson would actually wrestle in the ring. I mean, come on. I've never even seen him wrestle in WWE. All he did in WWE was knock somebody out. I mean, or shove Austin into Vince and all that, or do the DX chop. I don't know how Tyson would be in the ring, even in the shape he currently is in, even though he looks great. I don't know what he would be like in a wrestling match in general. So, and if you do that match, this is how I would do it. This is how I would book it. As soon as Jericho gets into Mike's face, starts shoving him around like that, like that, right? And Jericho's going to go like, it starts trying to hit him with a punch, goes right in for a right hand, Tyson just uppercuts him and that's it. Match over. Boom. That's how I would do it. I would just have that match only last maybe 2 or 3 minutes with Tyson actually knocking out Jericho at the end of an uppercut before Jericho could do anything. Total match, 3 minutes. 1 minute for entrance, 1 minute for entrance, 1 minute for a match. Boom, go home. That's how I would do it, guys. Just because, one, I believe Mike, if he were to actually hit you in the face for real, you'd go down. And another thing too is, I don't know what kind of wrestling skill he has. He might not have none compared to Chris. In general, guys, he has none compared to Chris Jericho. That's my honest opinion. So, I think Mike Tyson would just knock him out. That's just my honest opinion. All right. More AEW news. Actually, I'll save this one for the end, but we're going to go right here and talk about Cody. And Cody went on to discuss money demands of CM Punk during talks with AEW. And this is what Cody had to say about Punk. As far as CM Punk negotiations go, everyone heard the famous, he got a text from us. Yeah, of course. There were negotiations. And he did ask for a great moment. I mean, a great amount of money. And Punk is worth a great deal of money. And I don't want the situation to happen with WCW or Jim Crockett Promotions where we think we're flying so high we can do anything. No, this is a business and we have to turn a profit. But in that situation, the negotiations, I don't think they ever got too serious. Doesn't mean they won't one day, but they never got entirely serious. I think there is a good relationship there. I think I have a good relationship with Phil. I believe Tony does too, and I'm not sure when it comes to him, it's not so much about the money, it's about, are you interested in doing this? Because the price tag becomes a lot more justifiable. If you're generally interested in what we're doing at a high speed, we're doing it. And again, that's not even specific to him. It's just in general. If the passion is not there, the money's not there. As you guys want to know why I give Cody Rhodes the golf clap right now, is because what he made entirely a lot of sense. And as far as CM Punk goes, I mean, his heart's not into wrestling as much. I mean, he likes to talk about it apparently, but he hasn't come up fully and say, hey, I want to do a match, or hey, I want to do a program with somebody. He hasn't come out and said anything, guys, and all he's done since is talk shit, basically. I mean, backstage was monumentous, but we were all hoping that he would do more. And now backstage is canceled, so I don't know. But as far as Cody goes and discussing on how he would bring Punk in and why he would bring Punk in and all that, makes a logical sense. Makes the logical sense. He's right. If his heart is not into wrestling anymore, if Punk is not into wrestling in a match or doing a program on any show like he's claimed to be, where does that leave Cody and Tony? I mean, think about that. Where does that leave AEW? They sign a guy, but he's not interested in doing anything. You know what that is called? That's being a leech. That's being a leech. And quite honestly, I look at that idea and I think Cody and Tony are right for making that decision that they did, because nothing got serious. Nothing was actually talked about as being a real wrestling match or a real deal, you know. So if they're not going to get a real deal out of it, then why in the blue hell do they need to sign him? Why do they need to spend the money to do so? Just so they can have a big name? I mean, that's what TNA was doing at 2009. Or what WCW was trying to do. You know? I mean, for crying out, guys. For crying out loud. And I get it. It would be more All Elite Wrestling if Punk were to join AEW. Because then it won't seem like All Friends Wrestling. But here's the thing. Punk, I believe he has no desire to get back in the ring, guys. I'm sorry. Alright, so we're going into WWE news with backstage note on Charlotte Flair's status. Charlotte was written off TV, as you guys know, with a elective surgery injury, storyline-wise. But according to Dave Meltzer, the surgery and a potential new TV project are factors in Flair's return. Flair is currently working on a TV deal for some reality TV project, and her WWE return is undetermined at this time. In my opinion, this is probably Charlotte trying to expand her wings a little bit more. I mean, she's practically almost done it all in wrestling as far as WWE is concerned. But like I said, this is the Wrestling Observer. This is Uncle Dave Meltzer, who wears his alien hat and sticks his tongue out and says the Young Bucks are the greatest thing since deep fried Oreos. So I would take his word with a grain of salt, guys. He's a third source. I wouldn't even worry about it. But if Charlotte is working on TV deals and stuff like that, then by that sense of the word, I'm thinking she's just trying to find a way to expand her wings for life after wrestling. That's just how I look at it, you know? Next, another Raw superstar returns. For those of you who don't know, Bianca Belair did return to Monday Night Raw this past week, but she also returned alongside Ruby Riott. So, just giving you guys, if you guys didn't watch Raw last night, Riott and Belair have both returned. Which I think shakes up the women's division a lot more. And if they're going to team up as a tag team, this should be interesting. Because you got basically a great team coming out here. I can't wait to see where it goes. That's just my honest opinion. I can't wait to see where it goes. I like the Iconics as far as what they are doing, but I haven't taken them seriously for a while. And quite honestly, I do take Ruby Riott and Bianca Belair very seriously because of how great both of them are. And I look at Ruby Riott, she's that punker chick that is probably going to get her time just by looking at her. I just don't know what they're going to do with her just yet. As far as Bianca Belair, I'm looking at this. She might be the next big blackface for, no, not blackface. I don't know. I don't even think I should even say blackface. But what I'm going to say is, I think as far as the next big black superstar we have in the WWE for the women, I think Bianca Belair is going to be the next big women's superstar right there. It's just a matter of when, who, and what angle they put her in. I think Bianca Belair will be a Raw Women's Champion or a SmackDown Women's Champion. It's just a matter of time. She's very charismatic. She does great stuff in the ring. Her and her husband are in the good lights of Vince McMahon, apparently, because, for one, Vince likes to smoke. So, yeah, I'm looking at her as a big, major star. And when I look at Ruby Riott, I mean, she could be the CM Punk of the women's division if she could. It's just a matter of what do you do with her. That's just about it. As far as the Iconics go, I think they'll be the mainstays for the tag team division for the women. So it's just a matter of when do they get another shot. I'm a fan of all four, just letting you guys know. Just like I was with Asuka and Kairi and Bayley and Sasha, I'm a fan of all four of these women because the Iconics are very annoying as heels, but they're also pretty good in the ring together, and I think they work best as a tag team. I look at Bianca Belair. You can't deny her ability in the ring. You cannot deny what she does. I believe she'll be one of the best and one of the greats. And then when I look at Ruby Riott, it's just a matter of what do they give her and what can she do. And quite honestly, she's done amazing stuff in ring ability wise. I just can't wait until they come up with the right gimmick and the right character for her to go out there and just own. Alright. So, and now we're also going to talk about tonight's Impact as well. As tonight's the Slammiversary Go Home show. There's going to be a contract signing between the women's knockouts divisions of Jordynne Grace and Deonna Purrazzo. TNA champion Moose and a mystery partner will take on Tommy Dreamer and Crazy Steve. Ace Austin will return to his roots and prepare for Slammiversary so he can become the new Impact Wrestling Heavyweight Champion. And then Taya, Rosemary, Kiera Hogan, and Tasha Steelz and Kimberly will face Havoc, Neva, Susie, Kylie Ray, and Alicia Edwards. In a big, is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it's a 10-woman tag tonight, guys. So that's all going to be on tonight on Twitch or even on Access, and they're both free. So enjoy them as much as you guys can. I think Impact has something going good right now, and I think Slammiversary is going to be very impactful. Let's look at that much. All right. Now we go on to WWE programming heading to NBC's Peacock streaming service. So, yeah, there's going to be more than 100 hours of content that will be coming to Peacock, including episodes of Stone Cold Steve Austin's Broken Skull Sessions and WWE Untold documentaries. This is for a streaming service for NBC, guys, by the way. And the premium is $4.99 per month with ads, or $9.99 a month with no ads. In my honest opinion, folks, I'm just gonna stick with the network. $9.99 for wrestling in general is awesome to me. I will never hate WWE Network. And quite honestly, I think people who throw a fucking tantrum when they don't like the pay-per-view and just decide that they're going to unsubscribe, I think they're just wasting their money when they do that. And what I mean by doing that, it's like, you unsubscribed, but then you subscribe tomorrow night on Raw because you want to see the next match. If you're going to do that, why unsubscribe to begin with, you dumb motherfucker? I laugh my ass off. Why unsubscribe anyway? If you're gonna watch it next month, anyway, it's just like. And I know there's people who actually genuinely unsubscribe to the network just because they start hating wrestling because of WWE for some reason. But you know, for the fans who say that they're gonna unsubscribe after the pay-per-view sucked, and then sign up again the next night so they can go see the next pay-per-view, I laugh at you guys. I laugh at you horribly. Triple H comments on the women's evolution, and this is what he wrote on Twitter today. Cannot overstate how proud I am to see the growth in the WWE Raw, SmackDown, and NXT women's divisions. It took legends, Hall of Famers, and women from every generation to get where it is today. Excited to watch you all inspire the next generation. So this is going to be the 5th anniversary of the women's revolution, guys, and evolution in general. Personally, I'm happy for the women's evolution. I'm going to just take a look at this picture because I saw some amazing shots there. Alright. And those of you guys who are asking me why am I saving the Kenny Omega match news for the last, it's just because I think it would be good to end off on a good note. Because I think a lot of you will like what he has to say. Let's take a look at this picture, guys. He has 2 of them, so why not? Why not? Alright, here we go. Wow. They have almost every woman superstar in this picture, guys. Every woman superstar except for some certain members in this picture, but damn. Alright, let's see. I see Alundra Blaze in there. Oh. Yeah, Xylee's up there too. Oh man. Molly Holly. And hey, look, Vicky Guerrero's in this picture too, guys. Oh man. Yeah, guys, so this is just amazing. Alright, I'm going to move on next word. Alright, so Kevin Owens is entitled for a push on Raw soon. And it's being noted here on the Wrestling Observer, for the Wrestling Observer Radio. They are saying that they're having plans to back up Seth Rollins if Ray doesn't sign with the company. So, if Ray doesn't make his renegotiations with the contracts to stay, they're going to be moving on to having a match with Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens in this feud. And basically what it says is that we're going to probably get this match. And Owens is likely in line for a push anyway. It was also noted that he is figured up high on the card for the Red brand. So, honestly, it could also happen if Ray stays as well. But, honestly, I think Kevin needs to be up in the higher up in the main event card. I think he should be in the if he's not in the main event, he needs to be in the semi-main event, just because of the very fact that Kevin Owens has a big name right now. And quite honestly, he's not chasing for the championship at this moment. So he needs to be in a high-profile rivalry, and I think that person would be Rollins. Or anybody else, like Bobby Lashley. I think Owens should be getting a high push. I mean, he's definitely in high regard on the card. Alright, and now more on Bianca Belair's return, folks. Alright, there's no... basically like what we said earlier, yeah. But the only thing that's different in here is that they're saying there is no word yet on why Morgan has been away from Raw since late June. I think they might have given up on Liv Morgan, to be honest, guys. But yeah, that's about it. So we're going to go on to our final piece of news today, which is a very, very interesting one. As Kenny Omega has decided to provide us with an AEW video game update. And he went up and spoke on with Tim Adams of CBR. And this is what he had to say. Oh, absolutely. Right now, everything's in a very preliminary phase. I can't talk too much about it. Of course, because I really want to have something of material to show people when the time is right. And we're working at such an incredible pace right now. I think maybe we'll have something to show sooner than what people would expect. Nothing's not saying anything playable, but at least something to show people. And for me, I believe there needs to be a sense of being in the ring, that you're controlling your favorite wrestler or controlling your creator wrestler. But it's not so much a simulation where the movements are slow. I want to recapture the sorts of fun factor that we used to have back in the day. Whether it be WWF WrestleFest, WWF No Mercy, WWF WrestleMania 2000, Virtual Pro Wrestling 1 and 2. I want a very simplified system that allows for pickup and playability. However, I want the moves and the structure of the game to be so crisp and the potential for it to be deep to the point where you can have a match that actually resembles something of a pro wrestling match, where the moves look the way they should, the characters move the way they should. But at the end of the day, a game needs to be fun. I want a game where I can take my favorite character, do all his moves, and decimate my opponents, but I want to be able to call over a friend that never games with a simple explanation. I want him to be able to pick up a controller and be able to feel like he's in control of his movements and his destiny as well. I don't want people to take the literal words from this to assume what the game is going to be like. But one thing I appreciate in a fighting game like Street Fighter, it's got a very difficult entry barrier to play a top level. It's almost impossible. You can't be a dude off the street and do it. It takes a lot of practice and a lot of grinding. You have to be like a math magician on the spot, calculate frames, advantages, and all that. When people assume of their favorite wrestler or their latest creation, I want them to feel like it's not difficult to do the moves they want to do. I want them to feel like they can perform the way they want to perform. So right here, guys, Kenny is giving us an update on what he's looking for in their video game and what they want to do with the AEW video game. He wants to make it a very playable game, a fun game, something that people will come back to and just be able to get it easily. At the same time, put some skill into it. And I agree with him on that. I mean, that's something that's been missing in a wrestling game for quite a while, because there's a lot of fans who just take advantage of bullshit in general. Alright guys, that will be it for today's video. I hope you guys like. I hope you guys subscribe. Let me know what you guys think. What AEW should do for their video game if they do it. Let me know what you guys think about the women's evolution. Let me know what you guys. Fact, question of the day: what is your favorite female wrestler in the business today? All right, y'all take care. You have a good day and God bless. Thank you guys for watching and aloha.